Boom, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to talk about the Scarlet and Violet era singles market. Is it crashing? We're going to find out together today on PokeMarketLab. All right, folks, let's get into it. I see a lot of discourse, a lot of chatter, a lot of YouTube videos about the Scarlet and Violet era singles market crashing. Is it crashing? Well, instead of just throwing out hype and drama, we're going to look at some data. So first things first, let's look at some cards that everyone's talking about that are losing some value. First up, Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. Certainly the best Charizard in the Scarlet and Violet era. Awesome looking card. Near mint copies, we're always looking, especially in the current era, we're always looking at near mint copies. That's what I care about. So we can always compare apples to apples, so to speak. Minus 8% in the last month. Everything's going to be in about a 1 month time frame here. We want to look very recent at trends. 1 month time frame down 8%. This at its high was about $200 down to $187. So not massive. Certainly hit, but not anything significant. Paldean Fates, if you don't know, a lot of really solid cards in that set. So I kind of look at this as the set can absorb that kind of hit. The total value of cards in a set, if it takes too much of a hit in terms of key cards dropping too much in price, it really starts to affect the entire set or the perceived value of that set. Paldean Fates can certainly take it. Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, a very expensive card, down 8%. Now, when we're talking percentages on a very expensive card, that means it's actually quite a hit here in terms of actual dollar value. So from about a high in the last month of close to $1,600 all the way down to $1,450 right now. So still extremely strong. Not a lot of these on the market. This is to be expected on a set that was released recently, right? When a set releases, typically, you start getting a lot of cracking, a lot of cards get in the market. There's a lot of demand on the demand side of things to pull those singles out of the market to keep the cost of cards up there. But when that demand starts to wane, and we don't have a cut in supply necessarily, you start to see the price start to degrade here. So still very expensive card. Beautiful looking card, but certainly a hit. Prismatic Evolutions, we're going to look at total set value here in a second and see what that looks like over time for individual sets. Look at that in a second. Greninja from Twilight Masquerade, down again about 8%. You're kind of seeing a bit of a pattern here. You're seeing a chase card, top chase cards from multiple sets taking a hit. Not a crash or anything like that, a correction from what was probably a point of a market, a crescendo in the market that was too high to begin with. Onward here to Terapagos from Stellar Crown. Again, top card there. This one did take quite a bit of a hit. This, from a chase card standpoint, is not a solid chase card, in my opinion. Stellar Crown just really hurts from just not having that solid chase card here. If we go into cards for that set, yeah, so actually superseded. So Terapagos was at the top there, Fro. So if we're looking at just near mint copies, Squirtle has actually taken the crown. So I think actually makes a ton of sense. I think that's just a better card, Terapagos. I love the colors on, but it's just very hard to actually see the Pokemon. It's just and obviously Squirtle is a 151, and you got Bulbasaur over here too, which will probably end up superseding Terapagos as well. So Stellar Crown certainly just does not have a really solid chase card. On to Charizard EX from 151. 151 is beloved. It was really the start of the Scarlet and Violet bull run from a singles and sealed standpoint, and it's finally taking a breather here. And again, that's what I would call this. We're gonna come to some kind of conclusions here at the end of the video, but it's really just a breather. It's not we'll get back to the thesis here in a second. The too long didn't read portion of this video. So Charizard EX down 15%, at its high 295, down to actually it bounced off a low of 250 here. So and then we have, of course, the infamous Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates, down 7%. Again, we're seeing chase cards, high value cards from multiple sets taking a breather, taking a step back. Again, the question we should be asking ourselves, was that too high to begin with? These are not massive dips. These are very reasonable dips for cards that are extremely expensive. Only certain people can afford some of these cards. So it makes sense that after a hot run like that, they take a step back and take some time. All right, so what you're seeing here is a 1 month delta snapshot of the total value of a set month over month, about a month. So this is about March 7th to April 1st, so close to a month. So this is the percentage gain or loss. In this case, across the board, it's a loss for each set, total value of every single card in the set. So you take that market price of each card in that set and add it up. And then we're looking at the change in percentage as a percentage over time in the last month. So a couple things we can look at here. There's some patterning we can see. So Scarlet and Violet base took a pretty big hit. Mine down 14%. Paldea Evolved down 10%. Obsidian down 16, almost 17%. Paradox, Temporal, and Twilight held up extremely well. I've said this before. Paradox and Temporal are phenomenally good sets. They're still undervalued, in my opinion. And from a single standpoint, we're seeing a pretty good armor, a pretty good resistance to that decline in singles, because the value is just much more standardized across the board for cards. You don't have this boom or bust from top chase card to cheaper cards. You have a ton of value down every single card in the top 20. Twilight's down 8%, Stellar down 10%, Surging Sparks, probably the more surprising one out of this, between that and 151, down 14%. Prismatic holding up extremely well. So Prismatic's only down 0.38%. Well, how's Prismatic down 0.38% when we just looked at the Umbreon and it's down a couple $100 off the high? The money's moving into other singles, and we'll get back to that in a second. Paldean Fate's doing extremely well. Again, Bubble Mew took a big hit. How come it's only down 2%? Again, the money's moving to other cards. Shrouded Fable down 5%, 151. Again, one of the more surprising ones, probably because it just got hot quickly, and it's been that way for a while now. Again, that kind of led the charge in the Scarlet and Violet Bull Run, taking a breather. So again, we look at this. We just looked at some singles cards that are down heavily. We're looking at individual sets that are down heavily. What does that mean for the entirety of the market? It sounds like, on paper, just looking at this information, that we are in the midst of a pretty big correction. Well, if we look at the data for the entirety of the market, again, we're looking at about a month over month here in terms of percentage. We're only down entirety of Scarlet and Violet, excluding Journey Together, because that just got released. We don't have enough data on that. We're only down $1,100 out of the entirety of every single near mint card in Scarlet and Violet, or about minus 4.8% total. So what that tells us, when we're seeing those significant moves on those cards that we were just talking about, but the entirety of the singles market in Scarlet and Violet is only down 4.8%, is the money is not moving out of singles. It's moving to different singles. And that's a big difference, right, between that and a crash. This is not a crash. This is a softening. This is just taking a breather. Remember, the singles market is extremely hot. I've done videos on singles where it was literally almost impossible to find a single that had not gone up 30, 40, 100, 300, 500%. Like, trying to find hidden gems was almost impossible. So this, to me, I don't even know if I would call it a correction. I don't even know if I'd call it a softening. It's 5%. The stock market's down more than 5% in the last month, right? So this is very, very gentle softening, taking a breather here. Now, I'm not saying this won't continue. I'm not saying in that 30 and 60 days from now we couldn't be in a worse place than we are now, but the hyperbole and the drama about the singles markets crashing is not correct. All right, that's it for today on PokeMarketLab. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Of course, if you like what we're doing, leave us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Check out Sleeved TCG in the description below. A great community for just discussion about the hobby, as well as monitors and alerts, so that you can hopefully snag some product at retail pricing. This is PokeMarketLab out. We'll see you on the next one.